We cannot keep U.S.
And they were
troops deployed to Afghanistan thinking that we're going to somehow squash this Taliban that has been there, that every other country that's tried has failed.
I didn't say squash them. When we weren't in there, they started flying planes into our buildings. So I'm just saying right now,
the Taliban didn't attack us on 9/11. Al-Qaeda did.
So I recently just briefly popped into a live stream from the YouTube user, The Progressive Voice, and I wanted to share with you guys what I saw when I got there.
Half of the Bernie left is clueless. Tulsi is 100% his ally. The person that endorsed him took out his debate challengers. Reese said she loves Bernie. Attack Saudi exposed on Fox. Tulsi equal ally. If she's an ally, why is she running against Bernie Sanders? This is the weirdest thing I've seen. I've seen Tulsi Gabbard's husband say the same thing. And it's just like, dude, you like sacrificed your seat in the DNC to then run against him in the next election? What the fuck? How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? You sacrificed a seat, okay, and all that shit, right? And then you tout that. And then you're running against the guy in the next election? You should be supporting the guy. You should have endorsed him. You should be a big fucking supporter. But I don't want Tulsi to be a big supporter of Bernie, man. Just get the fuck out of politics, period, man. I'm done with Tulsi Gabbard. She's clearly insane. I have no idea what's going on in her brain with all these erratic-ass decisions she makes. I'm tired of her fucking fans. And I'm just fucking done with Tulsi Gabbard altogether. And I can't wait till she's out of politics altogether. This is the weirdest shit I've ever encountered in my life. You know what I'm saying? I am done with Tulsi Gabbard, dude. I am fucking done. I'm totally done. Totally fucking done. Totally fucking done, dude. Totally fucking done.
Well, apparently the Progressive Voice is done with Tulsi Gabbard. Look, I'm not particularly interested in whether Tulsi is still a Bernie ally or whatever the fuck. I gotta say though, you know, I saw him raging about Tulsi Gabbard, this guy with the YouTube channel name The Progressive Voice. You know, it's got me to thinking, like Tulsi, you know, she's not my top pick for president, but she has displayed, in my opinion, evidence of, you know, someone who's actually genuinely progressing, which is more than can be said of a lot of people who actually identify as progressives or who would claim to support progressive policies or progressive candidates. So for anyone who self-identifies as a progressive, I would think that when Tulsi stepped down from the DNC to support Bernie Sanders, that would be perceived as a progressive act. Bernie Sanders, of course, was probably the most progressive candidate at the last election, right? He was probably the best candidate at the last election. But that doesn't mean that he's going to always and forever be the best candidate at every election moving forward. I mean, if you came into the 2020 election with the attitude of, you know, oh, Bernie's running again, yay, I'm going to vote for him, without even looking into any of the other candidates, that is not progressive. Okay, that's not progressive. If you just are like faithfully loyal to Bernie Sanders, you know, despite whatever else comes along, that's conservative, all right? That is not progressive. So it seems completely reasonable to me that, you know, Tulsi Gabbard would support Bernie Sanders at the last election, right? That she'd think, you know, oh, he's the best choice this time around, right? But then for the 2020 election, you know, it totally makes sense that she'd decide, you know what, you know, Bernie's great, but I can do better, right? Now, maybe you disagree. Maybe you think she'd be a terrible president. I don't know. Now, for me personally, my top pick out of the 2020 candidates is Andrew Yang, the guy that wants to give us all $1,000 per month. I'm not going to claim that all of Yang's policies are more progressive than all of Bernie's policies. It's like Bernie's more progressive in some areas, Yang's more progressive in others. Now, one of the things that I look for in a presidential candidate, you know, I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to vote for, is what are they going to do to free me from wage slavery? Okay, this is a big deal. This is really important to me. This really matters. What are they going to do to free me from wage slavery? And, you know, the ideal scenario is that I'm completely freed from wage slavery, that I'm able to, you know, get what I need to have a high quality of life without submitting to wage slavery. That's the ideal scenario. But if I can't get that from a presidential candidate, you know, if there are no presidential candidates who are offering that way, then I will settle for someone who's at least making it so I don't have to submit as much to wage slavery, so that I have more freedom than what used to be the case. Okay, and the best policy that Bernie has for achieving that aim, so far as I can tell, is his affordable housing for all policy, which would be gradually implemented over the course of 10 years, which is, of course, longer than 2 terms in office, right? So I don't think it's realistic that I would receive the benefits of that during Bernie's time in office. Or in other words, it would take a long time to receive the benefits of that. Contrast that with Yang's UBI. Yang has said if he's president of the United States, we're probably getting UBI as early as 2021. Yeah, that is obviously going to be better for me than waiting on Bernie's affordable housing. Now, Bernie Sanders used to support UBI, but he's kind of regressed from that. He thinks that his federal jobs guarantee will be better than UBI. His federal jobs guarantee, I like to call that the federal wage slave guarantee. Right? I don't think that's better than UBI, right? I'd rather get money that I don't have to work for. Remember, what's important to me is being freed from the wage slavery. I don't want a guarantee of more wage slavery, you know what I mean? So I was very happy to hear from Tulsi Gabbard when, you know, she was asked, you know, okay, so federal jobs guarantee versus UBI. I was very happy what she had to contribute to this conversation.
Thank you. You know, really what this is about is getting to the heart of the fear that is well-founded. As people look to this automation revolution, they look to uncertainty. They don't know how this is going to affect their jobs and their everyday lives. And I agree with my friend Andrew Yang. I think universal basic income is a good idea to help provide that security so that people can have the freedom to make the kinds of choices that they want to see. This has to do with bad trade deals that we've seen in the past that have also driven fear towards people losing the way that they provide for their families. Really what we need to do is look at how we can best serve the interests of the American people. I do not believe a federal jobs guarantee is the way to do that. The value that someone feels in themselves and their own lives is not defined by the job that they have, but is intrinsic to who we all are as Americans, whatever we choose to do with our lives, and we can't forget that. Thank you very much.
As of yet, it does not appear that Tulsi has gone as far as to adopt her own UBI policy. You know, as far as I can tell when I go look at her website, and I check it out every now and then, right? It doesn't look like she has adopted her own UBI policy yet, but at least she's being outspokenly supportive of it. Makes me wonder what I can expect from her in the future, whether we're talking about this election or maybe some other, you know, future election or whatever, right? So I don't feel I'm done with her at all. Right? I'm interested. I'm interested to see what happens with that. In fact, since this is the person who stepped down from the DNC to support Bernie Sanders, it is a complete honor to have her supporting my guy's UBI policy over Bernie's federal jobs guarantee. A complete honor. I commend her for that. It's certainly the progressive thing to do, rather than being a faithful Bernie devotee just because he was the best candidate at the last election. So for this progressive voice guy to be raging against Tulsi Gabbard for, you know, giving up her seat on the DNC to go support a guy that she's just going to wind up running against in the next election, dude, I'll put it this way. I have my own set of policies that I would implement if I were president of the United States. And I think that they are way better than anything Yang's planning to do. I mean, there's some crossover between what I would do and what Yang would do. but there's also some things I would do differently. Here's the thing, though. I'm not running for president this election. He is. And even though I feel that my policies would be way better than his, like I said, there's some crossover. And it just so happens, of the people who are running for president this election, Andrew Yang, so far as I can tell, is the best one this election. Next election might be a different story. In fact, if there's anything that increases the chances of me running for president next election, it would be if Yang were to lose this election. So I don't think there's anything like super weird or erratic about Tulsi's behavior. It makes complete sense to me. And for this progressive voice guy be just raging against her about this, it doesn't seem like he's looking at it like a progressive. It seems like he's looking at it like a butthurt Bernie bro. This guy has got evidence of Bernie bias all over him. A faithful Bernie devotee. Look, I get it. Bernie was the best candidate at the last election, and now you're loyal to him. But that's a problem. That's not progressive. Okay, if you're just going to conservatively stick by the guy that was the best candidate at the last election, that's not progressive. So to any Bernie supporters who carried over from the last election over to this one, if someone better comes along, I'm like, hey, I'm going to give y'all $1,000 per month, it's probably time to upgrade. I think that's the progressive thing to do.
Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang.